Hi, Patrick here. 8 questions with greetings, and welcome to Women in Horror Month here on the channel. We have kicked it off. So yes, I know some of you guys were expecting us yesterday, and believe me, I was too. Unfortunately, our guest last night, Vale, she went to an event last weekend, and she caught herself a pretty bad dose of food poisoning. She was battling all the way up to an hour before showtime, and credit to given to her. It's just better just to come back when you're feeling well. Um, so we're going to go ahead and reschedule her as soon as we can, and she'll be back with us sometime in the future. And a very late notice too, and it looks like our show for tomorrow it will be not be going through as well. Scheduling conflicts there. That generally means the artist has picked up a job. That happens when you get that dreaded. Oops. Oh boy. It looks like my dual stream did not go through on Facebook. So let me go ahead and clear that up. I always love that. That's always a good thing to see. Though I checked it. Oh, nope, I think it is going through. Nope, it's going through. Okay, I have no idea where it says. Okay. Yeah, it's going on Facebook, so I see that. Uh all right. I'm doing a dual stream. So what that means is I'm doing two streams. Our show's going to two places. It's going here on YouTube, but it's also going on Facebook as well. So it just said that it was wrong. There were errors there, but it seems that things are going well. All right. So yes, tomorrow's show does not look to be going through as well, but we did pick up a Friday show. Friday, we picked up a return visit from our very good friend Dylan Fawn Harvey. Will be joining us on Friday night, the 3rd at 8 o'clock here on the channel. Women in Horror Month. Of course, you know what we're doing here today. We are talking to DeRae, also known as rainbowFRIGHT. Um, Definitely one of the coolest YouTubers in our community. Just absolutely sensational channel, sensational person. Definitely one of my very favorites. And she was the first person I asked to come do Women in Horror Month because I really wanted to talk to her. I've enjoyed everything that she's put out. Um, and in fact, I even went over there to just cruise around even before I went on live, and I wanted to go poke around. And I was watching her best of 2022, and see, this is why Rainbow Fright is so cool because like she gets it, she gets it. If you go watch her top 20 for 22 list, um, her number one film, Men, right? A24, you know. Number two, Hatching, ISC Midnight. I don't think I've seen anybody else in the community, not even close, that has that kind of 1-2 punch. That's a true indie horror fan right there to me. It's like watching the small films, watching the films that nobody else really watches or watches them, and maybe they list one on their top 10 list, maybe more like a top 20 list, because everybody else puts it up with all commercial stuff. Um, but she put hers down as 1 and 2 over what everybody else was picking. Uh, you can't help but respect that. So I can't. I love it. I love it. I'm hyped. I'm hyped. Greetings, Professor. The professor's in the house. Our new co-host of the Midnight Society in the house. We will be covering Jack Frost 1 and 2, and I'll be putting a banner out for that today as soon as this show is over with. So you guys all can come and hang out with me and the professor and Kal-El Daily, as the three of us are will be tackling Jack Frost 1 and 2. Um, oh man, it's actually pretty. What is it here? Is it? Yeah, I don't want to tell you what it is over here, Professor. I don't, because you'll probably come storm the monitor. But it's 50 degrees outside. 50 degrees outside at 8 o'clock. So I'll let you guys know what's coming up here on the channel as far as the rest of the because within a horror month is in effect. It is a hard month to book, but it's a rewarding one as well, as we all celebrate women in horror, because quite honestly, we can't have a horror without women in it. It just doesn't work. Uh, all right. Yeah, we're gonna be talking about Michael Keaton. All right. So next week we really kick it off in high style. Women in Horror Month, we're kicking it off in high style. We have a ton of shows. We have 5 shows next week, starting with Monday the 5th, the 6th of March. We have Emily Whitcomb will be here with us at 8 o'clock. On the 7th, we have Becky Rue will be here with us at on the 7th at 8 o'clock. On the 9th, we have actress Audrey Neal will be here with us at 8 p.m. On the 9th of March at 8 p.m., we have actress Carolyn Fortin will be here with us at 8 p.m. And then next Friday, the 10th, we have actress August Kiss will be with us at 8 p.m. So we have 5 shows rolling through next week. We have more coming, more being planned. Like I said, this is the most interesting month for me to book. It's fun. And you know, what really makes it fun is the fact that a lot of actors and whatnot, they're starting to gear up for summer shooting and also for convention season. So March is like it's almost like the kickoff month for everything. Um, yeah. Let me drop Rainbow Fright's. I'm going to drop her link down in the chat. Though you can go to the description box, and I've already left all her information there for you. You have her. If you click on the description box, you'll see her YouTube channel, her Instagram page, and I'm going to see if she has anything else that she wants us to share. So yes, okay. Now, as far as scary movies go, the Professor. So rumor has it, the Professor might be our new horror tuber of the month. That's right, horror tuber of the month has kicked off. I don't know what the Ice Lord has done. I don't know if he's put up a video or not for that. I hope that he has. So I do believe that the Professor here will be our new horror tuber of the month. He defeated a very worthy crowd, and now he'll be the one on the firing line, and he'll find out what it's like to have to book or pick 4 other friends to go at it. That will be quite interesting to see who the Professor picks. I'm very excited to see it. If the Professor doesn't mind me putting in my 2 cents, I hope that he puts Rainbow Fright as one of the people who for horror tuber of the month. I would like to see that. I don't think she's won before, so if she hasn't won, then I would like to nominate her as potential horror tuber of the month. Whoa, that's an upset, really. Wow. Okay. Congratulations to Black Halloween Queen. Holy crow. Wow. She must have been. Yeah, that's awesome. She does great content too. No shame in that game. Yeah, she's cool as hell. Oh man, I didn't even see the Ice Lord release it. He must have snuck in and he must have snuck that in. I didn't even see a peep from that. Oh my gosh. Well, yeah, she does. She makes great content. A lot of women YouTubers, horror tubers, they make excellent content. I mean, they make stuff that's way better than I do. I have no problem saying that. I mean, some of the channels I watch, I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing. I enjoy them. I enjoy watching a lot of the women creators here on the tube. Such cool stuff. And we're hoping that our friend Katie will be joining us soon too. She did an interview with Monty G on his channel, the Horror Miser Monty G, and that came out yesterday. And I went and looked at that. That was a good interview. Of course, you know the big thing are Fright Night. Yeah, that's right. You know the big thing about tonight's show. The one thing I'm really excited about too is I said I just hope that when Rainbow comes in here, she calls the cheetah Stardust. He wants to be called Stardust so bad. Yes, yeah, I see that. I got to do some more of that myself. Um, there's Kal-El Daly in the house. He and I did the Midnight Society last Sunday. We covered Beast. That show did really well, and we had a lot of fun last Sunday, and so much so that we're having them come back this Sunday, joining me and the professor as we will be talking about Jack Frost 1 and 2. That will be a lot of fun, and that'll be at 8 o'clock, 8 o'clock Eastern time. And of course, I can't go on without mentioning last Sunday's show on Ben's channel, Cadaver Close channel. We talked about Maniac on the ISC Midnights. Wow, what a crazy ass movie that was. That was just absolutely bonkers. It was a remake from the 1980s. And wow, all I gotta say is Elijah Wood. You'll never see him. You'll never look at him like the same again. Absolutely crazy performance. A bloody good time. Yeah, and highly recommended. The movie's highly recommended. I don't know how many times you'll want to see it. That's the thing. It's like there's a lot of movies that you love, but you're like, I love that movie so much, but I'm not sure I can handle watching that again. All right, so our guest is here. So let's go ahead and bring her up. Thank you guys for all showing up. Share us out if you can. Let's bring DeRae in. rainbowFRIGHT.
Hello.
Ta-da! Hello. Welcome.
Thank you.
All right, so women. Oh, I'm so happy you're here. I cannot think of a better person to kick this month off than you.
Oh, thank you. I'm so happy to be here. It's an honor.
Um, you were the first person when I started thinking about, when I started writing down names to bring on here, like, for like, who do I want to talk to? Your name was number one.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah. You were
awesome.
you were the first person I said, yeah, we gotta have Rainbow on here, to talk because, it's just mandatory. We got to do it. We just hope that she'll come say yes.
Well, I'm flattered. I know the last time, or not the last time, but one of these times you were live and you're like, hey, if you want to jump on, come on in. But I was still in my pajamas and I just was not ready then. But I just was hopeful that you would invite me back to be on your channel again.
Well, you're here. I'm so glad you are. Everybody is coming into the chat. The professor's here. Hey, Casey. Casey's here. So yes, and the cheetah is around here somewhere. I told him that I would ask later on to see if you will give him a little start.
For sure, definitely.
So how goes your day?
Really good. Took care of some errands, did a little weightlifting this morning, so feeling good.
Yeah, it's today was actually it seemed like it was our very first day of springtime. In fact, the professor was mentioning how cold he was, and I felt sort of heartless telling him that we're at 50 degrees here in Michigan, which is a damn heat wave.
Yeah, it's definitely starting to warm up a little bit over here in Denver too, thankfully. Definitely over winter.
Um, I right before we came on, I was over there surfing your channel as I often do. I watched your best of 2022 list. Man, that made me that's just I was doing one of these. We're not worthy. We're not worthy. Because I mean, your list was amazing, and I'm like, you know what? That's what horror fans are really about. Uh, tell us about tell us the two movies that you picked for your top for 2022.
Well, my number one was Men, which was just awesome. I know it might have been a little difficult for some folks to watch, but it was just a beautiful movie, and the sound design and the soundtrack was just also really captivating, and it was just beautiful and disturbing at the same time. That's what I really loved about it. Another one on my top 10 was Hatching, which is a foreign body gore film. And that was just such a pleasant surprise. You can't really say too much about it without giving away too much, but it's just a fun coming of age story that is also really beautiful next to this really grotesque imagery. Um, and yeah, it's just another beautiful, gory, weird film.
Um, from our good friends from IFC Midnight put that out, and
Oh yeah.
I'm a, as you know, I'm a fanatic.
Yes,
I'm,
yes.
okay.
They're awesome. I
Uh,
love them too.
we just got done watching Maniac last Sunday.
Nice. Okay.
Talk about body horror. I mean, yes, there's some body horror in that one too. Elijah Wood, like I said, you won't be able to look at him the same way again. It's like, well, that's not Frodo anymore, is he? Yeah, it's a bonkers movie. Uh, I was like watching that list and I'm going like, see, I really admire that you would reach out and you would go out there and a lot of people you heard a little bit about Men, but once it came out, you don't hear nothing about it. So that's what a lot of times it's like all hyped up, and then it comes out, and then nobody will talk about it. And you go like,
Yeah.
watch it. Did you watch
I
it? Did you see it? Did you like it? But no one ever talked.
Sure. And I think that has a lot to do with just the subject matter and it kind of being kind of man bashing. And I get that. But it's just and soon after the Me Too movement and all that, people are just kind of tired of maybe hearing that conversation. And I understand that, but it is what it is. We live in that world. We've been living in this patriarchal world, and um there's still evolution to be had, and if you're somebody who's just open to just a story and it's not attacking you as a person, then you're going to be in for a treat. But if you're going in there defensive or having a certain type of idea, then you may not enjoy it as much for its
I,
beauty.
it makes me when I hear that, or I hear people actually are sitting in a chair at a theater and feeling attacked. It just makes me laugh because it's like no one's attacking you. I mean, it's all in your head. It's like, ooh, the term woke or whatever. It's like, it's like you don't even know what the word means, how it's being applied. You're sitting up there, especially males. You're sitting in your chair and your spinks are all tightened up like that because
Right.
you're picking on them. It's just like, really? I mean, well, it's not like they sat down there, wrote a story, and said, "Yeah, Joe Smith over in Virginia, we're picking on you. This movie's all about you." No, it's a broad brush,
Right.
and you shouldn't be taking any movie personally. I could say you can have it affect you on a personal level, like when you watch it, um, like the movie I just our friend Kenny Jones, he's a new tuber, and he did a review of it, and it's a movie that we talked about too. And while it's not attacking anybody, but it still affects us personally with
Right.
with the movie called Relic. With
Oh, okay. Oh,
Have you
okay.
did
I
you
need to
see
see that one actually. I might have seen it way back in the day, but I definitely need to rewatch if I have because I can't recall too much of it.
Well, that one is, without giving too much away, it's a it talks about a problem that far too many of us have experienced in our real lives, especially as our loved ones get older and older, then it affects us. And it's just a really sensational movie, and it's a different kind of horror movie, and
Mm.
I can see people watching it, including myself and other people. They've watched it, and then I don't know. It's like watching a. Have you ever watched a movie like once and you loved it to death, but you look at it and go like, I love this movie so much, but I'm not in a hurry to come back to visit it again.
Yeah, probably. Probably one of the more disturbing ones for sure.
What what other movies have you watched that you watched once, loved, but then like I loved it and I even recommend it, but I'm not going to sit down and watch it again anytime soon.
Martyrs is probably a good example of that. It's a really well made film. I really love this idea. But seeing that torture for so long again and again, like back to back,
Mhm.
that would be pretty hard to watch. That'd probably be a good example that I can think of recently.
Yeah, I just watched that for the first time myself,
You
and I
ready to watch it again?
no, no, no. But I know a lot of people like I am very much against torture porn, very
Oh,
much.
okay. Okay.
But that being said, I did not see Martyrs as being torture porn.
Okay.
Did,
Yeah,
did
and
you
it's
see
funny
that?
because I do like torture porn. I like that just torture aspect of some body gore films like Saw and Hostel. But yeah, with Martyrs, it was like even though it was those things that I like those movies that I like, it was just so emotional compared to those other ones. And it was just so incredibly sad to just watch her break down slowly. It was a different kind of, yeah, torture porn. It was different, you know?
Did you see that as torture porn for Martyrs, or did you see it as a movie with a purpose?
I mean, it's definitely both, because at the end we get what we get, which is a lot. So yeah, we don't get a lot of the body mutilation throughout the movie. We just get a lot of violence, and yeah, her getting beat up. But yeah, toward the end, it gets pretty gruesome. But yeah, that message, that story was just super interesting because we want to know too. Like that's just our innate want to know and to find out is what is beyond, and to not really realize that till the very end. That's what this whole thing was about. It's like, okay, whoa, like it makes sense
Did
now,
you did, did you find
but
when the chairman when Mademoiselle came in, when she came in and talked to her, did you find yourself leaning forward to the TV trying to hear what she said? Did
right,
you?
I'm over here trying to read her lips a little bit,
Yeah,
like, what's going on? Tell
yeah.
us.
I swear they have it. That's what happened to me too. I'm sitting there watching. I'm like tripping out on it. Then she starts worshiping. I'm turning up the TV, the volume, and I'm getting real close because I want to see what she's saying. This is like, it's like, wow, it was such a gripping film. Uh,
Mhm.
Hi, Brene. There's the mighty Ice Lord coming in. Hi,
Oh,
Rob. How are
yes.
you?
What's
Our
up?
good friend Rick and Star Lord. Hobbs Horror in the house. Share us out if you can. That would be awesome. Um, yeah, I was thinking about men, and there was a movie that exploitation put out, and I wonder if you saw this one too. The title is really off-putting, but the movie itself is brilliant. It was called Dead Dicks. I know. The,
Oh, I've not heard
the
of that
title,
one.
it had almost like the same premise as Men,
Okay.
except that it worked both with men and women, and it's like it was just such a bizarre film.
I'm
I think
writing
you
it
probably yeah,
down.
yeah, the title's really off-putting, but it basically is there's a giant basically, what can I say? It's a giant vagina on a wall, and then as you die, as you die, you get reborn. But you get reborn right to a certain point, then you have to go forward again. It's a really
Mm,
interesting film, and one since we're talking body horror, one I highly recommend.
okay.
Um, so where were you born and raised at? Is it okay if we just call you Rainbow, or do you like to be called DeRae, or what are we calling you?
Rainbow's great, whatever you like.
I love Rainbow because it fits your personality so
Oh,
much.
thank you. Thank you.
Uh, uh, so where were you born and raised at?
I was born and raised in San Antonio, Texas.
Oh wow, that's a long way from Denver.
Yep. I was there, until I graduated high school, and then I was in Austin, where I went to college for about 10 years. Spent a year in LA, and then went back to Austin. And then when the pandemic hit, we kind of shuffled around because we had to pivot. So we were in Harlingen, Texas for a year, and then San Antonio for a year, and then we just recently, a few months ago, moved to Denver.
You
So
said you went to college for 10 years. Were you chasing your PhD?
did I say I went to college for 10 years?
Yeah.
No, I meant to say that I was in Austin for 10 years. I went to
Oh,
school
okay.
for 4.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I went to film school. I studied film, got my film degree, did some film work, after college for a little bit. Always working like, 2, 3, 4 jobs as a filmmaker, doing, serving, doing whatever. And, you know, went into other things. And then recently I was a notary, and then COVID happened, and then I couldn't do notary work anymore. And so then that's when I started doing my YouTube channel. It was in the middle of the pandemic.
Yeah, I started mine in the pandemic too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't we all? It's like, what do we do? What are we doing?
This
Well, I know,
influx
start
of
a YouTube channel.
creators.
Yeah, why not? Why not do a YouTube channel? Yeah, okay. Because you
Yep,
couldn't go outside, you can't go anywhere. Everything's all shut
exactly.
down. It's like, what can we do? Well, I got some
Yeah.
movies I can talk about. Okay, that works.
100%.
Start
Yep.
start a channel. Um, so you got into film. I did not know that. I don't know if anybody knows that you were into making films. Did you what did you do? Were you a screenwriter or director, cinematographer?
I
All of the above?
identify as a director. All the stuff that I did on my own, I obviously wrote it, but I made my own little short films and music videos from time to time. But then I also worked on a lot of other folks' sets as different roles. I was DIT, which is the editing department. I was a second assistant director, script supervisor, all kinds of roles. And I did a couple of internships while I was in LA, and I worked on a PSA for Comedy Central once. And then when I came back home to Austin, I just worked on a couple of other shorts and features for folks. And then I just really had to just start, working and making real money at some point. So I was doing a lot less film work. And then that's when the notary thing kind of took over. And then the notary thing got set aside with YouTube. But yeah, I've always just been super creative. In my high school, I went to an art school, and my major at first was orchestra. I played the trumpet. But then in my junior year of high school, I wanted to switch up my major because I was kind of over playing the trumpet, which I kind of regret a little bit, but because I still love music. But once I switched my major to cinema, it was just by chance. I was like, oh, well, I don't want to leave the art school, but I can't sing, I can't dance, I can't paint, but I want to be in the art school. In cinema, you need absolutely no experience for. Let's try to audition for that, because I auditioned to be in the orchestra, but with the film school, it was just like, do you have a drive to do something creative? And I definitely had that. And then my first project at this film school was just a stop motion stick figure animation. And
Okay.
once I did that, it was like maybe 60 seconds, 2 minutes long. I was just blown away. I was like, oh my God, this is so much fun. It was just like a flip book essentially, but it was just so exciting to see that from the idea and then to the product. And from then on, I was like, okay, I'm gonna be a filmmaker. That's it. This is my calling. And so then, yeah, after that, I went to UT Austin Film School and just kept pursuing it. And I've been always like pursuing it in some way or another, or been creative in some way or another. And so now, yeah, coming to YouTube, it's just been super exciting because I just have all this freedom. There's no restrictions of producers saying they want this, or somebody, not liking what I'm doing here or there. Even though from my audience, my viewers, my fellow Stardust, I would love to hear constructive criticism from y'all and let me know what you want to see and not see. But, it just has been fun to be super creative and free to do that on YouTube.
The first time I heard you, and I think I'm gonna open this up to the chat too. So, how many in the chat here has seen the movie The Warriors? Throw up a 1 if you've seen The Warriors. Throw up a 1. Throw up a 1. I'm sure I'm not the first person to tell you this. I'm sure. If I am, then that just makes me even more badass than I already am. So throw up a 1 if you've seen The Warriors.
It's been so long, but yes.
Now, the first time I heard you, I was sitting there going like, that is so Lynn Thigpen. I was like, I'm going like, holy shit, that's like The Warriors. Because you have that speaking voice and you're going, hello, Stardust. I'm like, oh my God. The only thing I want you to do is sit there and say, hey, you boppers. And because it was like, I heard that voice. I'm like, that is so badass.
You said boppers?
If they ever remake The Warriors, if I have to pay for it myself, I'm putting you on a plane and flying you out to the audition to play that role. Where did you develop your speaking voice? Had you do radio? Did you do radio before you started YouTube?
No, I wish I could say I had. I literally just started doing it with YouTube, and when I saw the reaction from people, I was just like, okay, I'm going to keep doing this. Because when I was trying to come up with what to do for my channel, I just had all kinds of ideas. I even thought about food and gaming and all of that, but then I settled on horror movie reviews, true crime, and spooky story narrations. And I really don't know why I thought I would do so well with those. Because typically I don't really like hearing my voice recorded or playing back, but I just kind of leaned into it and just had this idea that I wanted my channel to just be a not cool, but just chill, relaxing place, and just wanted to create an atmosphere, and it just kind of just happened. I don't know.
Yeah,
but now that
yeah, it's so yeah, you definitely are definitely one of the best reviewers out there because you have the cool demeanor of that voice. Now I know everybody here is already thrown at the 1, so they let's see. The Warriors is on YouTube. Yep. And see, DeRae, I enjoy your content. Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, you know what? She just did that. We just talked about that, Hobbs. She did she just did her top 20, her top 10 of 2022. Hey, there's our good friend John Grande. Welcome, welcome. Her first 2 movies that she did for 2022. Number 1 was Men from A24. Number 2, Hatching from IFC Midnight. I don't know anybody outside of me that has that kind of a 1-2 punch on their list. I only say that because it's just because I do, because I watch all sorts of weird stuff. I just love the obscure stuff. Isn't that the best?
It is, and sometimes you just got to get through a bunch of crud to get to those, but it's always worth it. It's always worth it.
Now I understand you're doing a new series. You're hooking up with our boy Jose, MC Chaos, Mr. Master Chaos, Guilty Pleasures, right?
Yeah.
Now this is going to be where you bringing out your obscure films, the movies that people have never heard of, that you can sit out there and say, yeah, check this out.
Yep.
I love that. Do you buy and collect physical media yourself?
I don't. Right now, I'm just collecting digitally at the moment, but I have been interested in getting, physical media because I used to have VHSs and DVDs back in the day, but through all the moves that I've done, I've just kind of gotten rid of a bunch of stuff. But now I'm kind of getting the itch to have my own DVDs and Blu-rays again. So, but I also will probably still be downloading digital copies of stuff too. But to support artists and to have cool art, I'm down to start doing that. It's been on my mind.
Uh, what were some of the movies that you watched growing up? I mean, what did you watch when because it must have been really unusual though, right? Because is it me? I mean, I said it before you came on. I said that really we can't have horror. We can have horror without men, but we can't have horror without women. Horror can't exist without women. Women drive horror. It's just how it is. I
Sure.
mean, if you just it's the only thing that makes it more impactful, more powerful, more moving. I don't know what it is. It's just women overcoming, women as underdogs, women in trouble, whatever it is. Women drive the genre. Men, like Lord of the Flies or what have you, or the Warriors. It's like, okay, whatever. It's like it doesn't have the same grip on us as viewers. Um, why do you think that is? Why are women so important to horror in your opinion?
Well, I think we have the woman's perspective, and that also needs to be told on screen. As much as men run things, and can take over, they still know that there are just more than them. There's men, and then there's everybody else. And to make good art, you need that collaborative effort from all sides, of the gender spectrum. And so, um, yeah, women just have also sometimes a different sensibility and just a different way of coming to the solution. And because with filmmaking, it's all about problem solving and putting out fires, from beginning to end. And it's thinking on your toes and just being creative on the spot. And we're just good at that. We're jugglers, we're good multitaskers, and filmmaking is emotionally and physically and mentally taxing. And it takes a strong person to make a movie. And, um, that's that. And so, women provide that. Women and men and everybody provide that if they have that passion for it. So it can't just come from one gender. We just need all the perspectives and all the muscle that we can take in order to make a good movie.
Is it an exciting time now? Because we touched upon this earlier about that woke. To me, woke is like I said, it's such a misused term. Uh,
Or
Lord,
overused.
oh
Yeah.
my Lord, have mercy. Uh, but we'll go here with this one. So, do you think it's more exciting now seeing persons of color on TV and more diverse and more leading roles? Is it like the birth of people of color on media? I mean, before for decades there was no representation or underrepresentation, but it does seem like when the last 20 years, every year it gets stronger and stronger. Is this like a golden age for diversity? Do you feel?
Um, I don't know about golden because golden makes it sound good, but it is a good thing that it is becoming more and more prevalent that we do have more people of color on screen and getting awards and being recognized. It's just still so below, which is why I don't want to say golden because we need to catch up more quickly than we are. But it is nice to see it. We have folks that we can look up to that aren't just white men because horror in general is curated for young white men and movies in general, not, rom-coms necessarily, but in general, things are just catered to men and white men. And so now we're just getting so many movies. Back in the day, you could almost see every movie that was released, but now there's no way you can watch every movie that's going to be released every month. You know, there's just too many out there. And so, yeah, we've got all this diversity happening and it's super exciting. It just, you know, I just want it to be happening more exponentially and have it be even more diverse. So, yeah.
Does that is that seeing this as it's happening now? Do you? I mean, you mentioned you're happy doing what you're doing with YouTube, but you're seeing as outsiders, you're seeing it happen more and more in Hollywood and whatnot. Is this sparking up your creative juices, so to speak, to get out there and get behind a camera or go inside of a? Do you screenwrite, by the way? Do you write?
Yeah, that was gonna be what I was gonna say is I really want to write a script. Before I started my YouTube channel, I was actually already writing a script just for fun, not to maybe necessarily shoot, but just to kind of flesh out and just to get my muscles going, just to be creative. Then I started my YouTube channel and I kind of left it behind. But I am interested in writing a feature and putting something together and possibly shooting that. I might shoot a short before writing that feature, but I have had the itch to write something these past few years, actually. So, yes, I am inspired and it will happen one of these days. I just want to get the YouTube up and running and going where I want it to be. And then I'll start probably setting time aside to do that and write that script and get that feature put together.
We are dropping. I think Mr. Bones is here. He's dropping Rainbow's link.
Oh, thank you.
If you have not subbed to DeRae, we highly recommend you do. We also have our Instagram page in the description box below. So if you haven't followed her on Instagram, please do that as well. And any other social media, I'll talk to you after this that you want us to add. We'll be happy to do so. Um, we mentioned about your favorite era of horror, and you said like the 1990s and the 2000s, and I was sitting there going like, do you mean like 2010 or 2000 to now? What is it? Please tell me it's 2000 to now.
I do like 2000 to now, but when I mentioned 2000s, I did mean the 2000s to 2000 to 2010.
Because that takes my favorite movie out of the realm. I was like,
Oh,
yeah, because my
which
movie
movie?
came out in 2017.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
okay, guys, what's my favorite movie? This is so bad. This is so bad because everybody knows it. I mean, I don't. I just go ahead, get it out of your system. Go ahead, tell her what my favorite movie is. Because that's why I was so.
2010s is a good decade too. It's a good decade for me too.
See, Mr. Bones, he always delivers. Thank you, Mr. Bones. I love you, brother. See, you're all over it. Um, yeah. I love because I grew up. I was a child of the '80s, so I saw all the horror movies of the. Let's see. Kal-El says, every A24 movie. Um, I don't think she's ever seen it, Wes. That's the problem. She hasn't seen A Dark Song. We have to
Dark
introduce
Song.
her.
Okay, I'm gonna write that one down too.
Yes. I must have just sent you the ifc.com. Just go over there and just
Okay, okay.
every movie in there, just take it.
All
Uh,
right.
yeah. Because I grew up in the '80s, so I saw all the '80s horror. And some of the '70s. So I was there. I was there when Halloween '78 came out, and when Texas Chainsaw Massacre came out, and Jaws and Grizzly and all that good stuff. So I grew up there, and I grew up in the '80s too. Big horror fan. Saw everything that came out, just about. Um, but what is it about '90s horror that made you, that fires you up? What's some of the movies during the '90s that you saw that you were like, hell yeah?
I think it's just because it's what I watched the most first. Even outside of horror, you know, just growing up, I watched a lot of TV and movies. And as a kid, I wouldn't have said, oh, I'm a horror fiend or anything like that. I always gravitated toward it. always had fun with it, and I was just always watching movies and TV. And I think I just am more familiar with it and just have this affinity towards it where it just feels like home, kind of. Um, let's see, Misery is a good one. And then I like true crime type things too. So I would like things like Copycat and The Talented Mr. Ripley. Let me see here. What
Like
else?
the burning bed that came out in the 90s. That was an intense movie.
Okay, I haven't seen that one yet.
Um, true crime does seem to be rising in the horror though, doesn't it? I mean, there was a few movies during the 70s and the 80s and 90s that talked about that. You know, even in the 60s, you got the Boston Strangler with Tony Curtis. You had the Onion Field with James Woods.
Yeah,
You have there's so many out there. Helter Skelter about Charles Manson that was out there. The Hillside Strangler. There's so
yeah,
many. This,
yeah.
this true crime is true. Do you like watching true crime dramas or docudramas? Or is that more scarier to you knowing that it's based on a real life versus?
Exactly. Right. Like the true crime stuff and the psychological thriller stuff, because that can happen or can be currently happening as you're watching the movie, is what's trippy about it. Um, so yeah, and watching the actual true crime become a drama or, a series, I'm down for it. Maybe not every single time, but everyone that I've picked, I've enjoyed. The more recent one that I saw was called The Good Nurse on Netflix. And that
Right.
true story is just devastating. He killed probably hundreds of patients
Yeah.
and wanted to be stopped and was thankful when he finally was stopped, but wasn't, because the hospitals kept covering up their tracks and they still aren't being held responsible for it. Insane.
Right. Right. Yeah. I remember that. I remember that case. Yeah. He was. They call him Angels of Mercy.
Mm-mm, yep. Yeah.
Uh, and they're not always merciful though.
Right.
They have maybe had good intentions. Um, but that opens up another box, doesn't it? Because like assisted suicides, it raises the question of should we have something like that? I mean, what do you think? It would is it something that would it something you think that would you think that's something?
Definitely.
Yeah,
We
I
should
did too.
totally have that. I mean, I don't understand why we don't. I believe somewhere is entertaining that idea somewhere in the world, but it doesn't make sense that we don't, because people are clearly in pain, especially the last few days. People can tell you, oh, their toes are curling up and their bodily functions are slowing down. So that means they're going to die soon. It's like, well, why not just have them die right now? Why have them like have the last drop of life be sucked out of them before, saying goodbye? It's just insane. So,
Goes right back to that last scene in Martyrs. Here she is. She's at the very end of her rope, and they're squeezing every single second they can from her instead of ending it. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. But
Uh,
to go back
were
to
there?
your previous question, I do love 80s horrors too, because the ones that I watched a lot as a kid would be things like Poltergeist and The Lost Boys, and Creepshow was one of the ones that I watched before 10, where it was like it got me super excited for a horror movie, and Twister in that time frame too, because I remember seeing Twister in the theaters. And I love natural disaster movies too, because again, it's real
Right.
life. And I lived right in Tornado Alley in Texas. And so yeah, those two movies I remember being pretty impactful, to where I'm just like, I love this feeling, and it's making me, just have a good time just being here in this room with this movie.
Have you ever gone through a natural disaster? I mean, or a natural event like a tornado or an earthquake or avalanche or anything like that?
No, I've just been like in the area where one has happened, but I haven't like had anything happen to my personal belongings or anything like that. Just been in severe warnings, luckily. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Now I understand. You're married, right?
yeah,
Now,
yep.
is your husband a big horror fan with you?
Not so much, but he's But he's come to realize that some of the movies that he does love, he's like, oh, this is actually a horror film. So I do have a taste for it. And he's coming around more. He's liking it more. He's more Star Wars, Western, period piece type movies. But he's like, sometimes let's watch a horror. And I'm like, okay, let's do it. Let's go. And yeah, he's coming around.
What would you if a woman came to you and said, Rainbow, what I want to introduce my husband to horror. Now, most of the time it's the other way around, like, okay, I'm going to introduce my girlfriend to horror. What should I do? Watch? But I'm
Yeah.
going to turn that around and sit there and say, you being a young lady and a wife, if another wife came up to you and said, Rainbow, what 10 movies should I introduce my husband to introduce him to horror? What 10 would they be? Or at least five.
I was gonna
Do
say,
five.
yeah, that's a lot. Okay. I'd say Candyman is a good one because even though it's scary and intense for some folks, you don't really get the kills on screen. You get just that one doctor kill on screen. And I think it's a good show of building atmosphere and just tension, and it's a fun urban legend type movie, and they could probably relate to it because they know urban legends and telling stories, and they're familiar with Bloody Mary, I'm sure, so they'll have that reference. So that'd be a good one. What else? Misery, possibly, even though that might be kind of terrifying, but Misery is also a good one because it's kind of a drama too, and so realistic. Um,
That's sort of one where you leave him on the couch where he's staring and he's watching it. Then you go out, then you leave the room and come back with a sledgehammer saying, honey, I have a question, and let him see you there with the hammer.
yep, yep. Um, I'm trying to think of I guess maybe Poltergeist because that one is PG, so it might be kind of chill if they're into supernatural stuff. I'm trying to think of things that aren't too. Oh, and another one would be maybe Orphan, um, the first one, um, because it's not again too gory. It's just a good psychological, trying to use the word without guessing. It messes with your mind, and The Shining, that would be a good one too.
Oh my gosh, that's
Yeah,
shining.
yeah,
That's
that would be good.
What about the well, not yeah, okay. I was gonna say I would introduce him to something like maybe something like the Green Mile or something like
The
that.
Green Mile.
The combination of horror and drama.
Yeah,
Uh, that was
super sad. But yeah, I haven't seen that one in a long time either.
do
Yeah.
you cry at movies? Does any
Cry?
movies yeah,
Oh,
have any
yeah.
movies
I cry
have
at
any movies made you
commercials.
cry? Like what was the first movie you actually cried at that you can remember going like being upset about?
Um, I don't know. I can't name a movie that happened with, but I remember an experience where I was watching a movie. I was 6 or 7. I have no idea what movie it was. It was like a drama. It wasn't even anywhere near horror. But I just remember a group of people yelling at this person at the front of the room, and I remember it being just racially charged and just being super afraid of that energy. Um, but again, nothing sticks out of my brain where I'm like, oh yeah, I cried, and that was the first time. But I remember that being the only time that I was just like, okay, I'm leaving this room and I'm hiding behind the wall because I can't take this energy right now. But no horror film or drama has really uh, made me have that kind of memory again.
Um, I was thinking if you wanted to show him a really scary ass movie, and one that'll have him like going like, "I thought you loved me." It's a superhero movie, but it's like the one of the scariest I've ever seen, and that is from my friend Cal because he recommended Superman 4, A Quest for Peace. Let me tell you, that's nothing more terrifying than that movie. I'm telling you.
Okay.
Um, are you? What else do you like to watch? I mean, are you just strictly a horror? Do you strictly do horror, or can you, or do you like to watch other genres as well?
Yeah,
Because
I watch it all. I'm down for everything, really. I don't typically go towards musicals or animation or superhero movies, really, but I will watch them.
okay, okay.
Yeah.
Um, what's the process like for you when you because you're starting to write or whatnot? You know, you're starting to screenwrite. How many scripts have you written, and what's your process when you create like that? Do you do storyboards for your films or?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Oh,
It's been forever since I've actually written out a short film, but typically I'll do like an outline and then a treatment, which is just going through the different aspects of the story and figuring out the backstories of my characters before I even start writing their dialogue, just to have a sense of who they are and why they would say the certain things they're going to say. Um, but yeah, right now I'm just kind of coming up with ideas and then just writing them down, even if it doesn't really totally make sense. Just writing out ideas, and then hopefully picking a story, and then yeah, thinking about the world and my main character and what arc I want them to get over and what obstacles I want them to overcome. Um, so yeah,
uh, yeah.
basically that.
Um, so going back to because you like horror, you like your horror is really like you mentioned you like body horror. What are some of the body horror movies that you've enjoyed, and why that genre? Why that subgenre? What attracted you to that?
I think one of the more recent ones is The Sadness, which was just so good. And I think it's because it gives me the most reaction when I'm watching it because, yeah, I love horror, but I don't feel like I'm necessarily getting scared a lot of times. Again, I'm just having fun, and I like that tense feeling I get when I'm waiting for somebody to come out from behind the wall, and I know they're going to come out from behind the wall. But with the body gore, it's like I can really feel it. Not that I love pain necessarily, but I just love that interaction that I'm having with the movie. It just gets me the most worked up, I guess. And it's just fun, especially when there's a good purpose and reason behind it, like in Saw or in The Sadness, not just to do it, not just to have a slasher dude going around killing people just for fun. I like for there to be a reason, like with even with Freddy Krueger, it's this whole aspect of dreams and just dreams in general, how they can be scary and how sometimes people can feel like things that are happening to them in their dreams can happen to them in real life. And even Wes Craven's inspiration for that, where folks were dying in their sleep, afraid to go to sleep because other people were dying in their sleep. And yeah, so
Yeah, yeah, I can see that. I mean, well, he drew a lot of inspiration from his own life. You know,
yeah,
he drew a lot. I know that he was bullied when he was younger, and he had to go through a lot of different traumas. In fact, I think he named Freddy Krueger after one of his tormentors.
yeah,
So I mean, he had a very long memory because he's in his 50s and 60s, and he's still, making those, still drawing upon those memories.
yeah.
Um, that happens. Traumatic events stay with us for a very long time. Um, so what are some of your favorite horror body films? I mean, like, in specifically, like you also mentioned like natural disasters. Like, I'm with that too. I love those. In fact, there's a movie I would recommend to you called Perfect Sense.
Okay.
Uh, that has Ewan McGregor in it and Eva Green. Um, and of course, it's an ISC film. So yeah, okay.
Nice.
For those people who are wondering, yes, but it's a great film. Tremendous.
Okay.
Um, yeah. What are some of your favorite body horror films? The ones that are just that like I got a copy of this. I haven't seen it, but I'm sure you probably have. Did you see Titan, the
Type.
French film?
Oh, yes, I did. That one was excellent. Um, Yeah.
I really love French horror. I'm
It was
catching
a
up to
trip.
French horror. I'm catching up to it. It's like French horror is like really good, isn't it?
Yes, yes, and she also had the other movie she did, what was her name? DeCarno. She also did Raw, where the
Mhm.
girl has a thirst for, human meat.
Right.
But yeah, the birth at the end of Titan, it was just insane, like, I was just waiting for it to happen, and it finally got there, and I still was just like, "Yes, this is we've been waiting for this whole time."
I think the first body horror film that I can really remember that really stuck with me was Crash.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, that movie's so crazy.
Where it's like a bunch of different stories merging, right? That one?
No, no, it's
Oh.
David Cronenberg and
Oh, okay.
yeah, Holly Hunter and James Spader. That's when James Spader really cemented the he is the weirdest guy in Hollywood. You know, he's like if you need a freak, you go get James Spader. You know, he's just really weird roles. Even now, he's still doing it. Boston Legal or The Practice or Blacklist. He's still playing the same slightly off center dude. But Crash was Cronenberg. He basically it's people were driving car crashes into each other. It's a sexual expression.
Okay.
So like it's it's bizarre as hell. You're sitting there just like this is like the craziest shit, but you can't stop watching it. Um, Now, is there any movies that you would watch that you would sit there and say, "Yeah, no, thank you."
Um, Unfortunately, Cannibal Holocaust because of the animal cruelty in there, and I know there's a version without it, but I've not yet checked it out. Um, Movies that have a whole lot of just pointless vomit in them. I know there's, like, a whole s thing about those types of movies, like vomit
Uh,
war, not
which
into it.
I've never heard of that one. I'm sure if Rick is
Um
still here, he would tell us. Oh Lord, I can't even imagine.
um, I'm trying to think though, like, as far as, like, mainstream stuff goes, like, I love, for whatever reason, Human Centipede. The 1st and 2nd one are great movies to me.
The Feed.
Oh,
Love The Feed.
yes.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, it took me forever to see that movie. It took me, but it's one of those movies where it's like, this is a really good movie, but yeah, I'm not gonna be watching that again anytime soon. There's a lot of those in there. It's like there's a lot of movies out there you watch once, you go like, "Hell yeah," and then you go like, "Not gonna watch it anytime soon."
Yeah, Human Centipede 2, you definitely have to give a year or 2 in between views. You can't really watch that one back to back.
Yeah, I'm still looking for that one. I got the first one.
Okay.
Casey sent me the first one. I had a chance to get the collection for $3, but I
Nice.
was like, even though it was ISC, and I'm going like, "Nah, I just can't do the Centipede." And then I just couldn't do it. I'm like, "No, someone's seen ass to ass, mouth to ass." I'm just like, and then finally, I gotta watch it, and then we covered it in the IFC show. I blame Coriander for this. Coriander still holds me responsible for this. Coriander is the one that picked that movie for us to watch on the IFC midnights.
Yeah.
Believe me, I when she said that, she says, "Yeah, let's watch the Human Centipede." I'm like, "Oh hell, how the hell did?" Okay, um, yeah,
She knows what's up.
yeah, she does. She was dialed in. She's definitely dialed in. It's a great movie. I tell people all the time, it says, it's a movie like I would recommend. The one thing it did for me that absolutely ruined Silence of the Lambs. Ruined Silence of the Lambs.
It's tame
It
now.
Silence of the Lambs is like a cartoon now. Like Hannibal Lecter. Oh yeah, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like whatever. It's like yeah, Clarice. Yeah, yeah. Go talk to the centipede doctor. Um,
Another good one, that's also a psychological thriller, a good body gore one is a movie called Bug with Ashley Judd and Michael Shannon because, they're picking at their bodies and it gets really bad toward the end. He's pulling out his teeth because he thinks that there's bugs in there.
right.
And yeah, it just gets pretty nasty.
You know what? Michael Shannon's a really interesting character. He's
Mhm.
a good actor. He's done some
Yes.
really. What are some of your favorite actors? I mean, if you were, let's have you put together a cast for your first movie.
Oh man, that's
Uh,
so hard to do because you have to have the story and all of that. Like, it's so broad, and I don't have super favorites like that. I love me some Christina Ricci. She's one of my
mhm.
top, actors. So I would try to maybe get her in there somehow, but because she loves to do independent, weird, obscure, low paying things. She doesn't care. That's what she seeks out. But man, it'd be so hard to do that. I'd have to know the story and then pick out the actors. You know what I mean?
When you do your YouTube channel, let's talk a little bit about your YouTube channel. What's your process of making videos? What's your I mean, when you do your top list, your top 10 list or what have you, is there a process that you undertake for that? I mean, do you talk to
So
other
yeah, that was
people?
my one of my first like top favorite movie lists. And basically this year I just tried to keep up with everything versus, the previous year. And then just in my life, like I typically would just watch movies that interest me and that that I really want to see. But because I have my channel, I've been making a conscious effort to watch as many new releases as possible. So that was basically step one. And even though I knew I wasn't going to be able to watch everything, I just, made sure I took notes of what I did watch and decided what I want to talk about because I don't typically like to talk about movies that I really don't like on my channel. So if I didn't have a good time with it, even though I watched it, I'm not going to probably share or talk about it too much. I'll put on my letterbox my honest review, but I typically won't make a video about a movie I don't like because I did think about making like my 10 least favorite movies of 2022 and decided against it. And I might in the future, but as of right now, I like to celebrate the things that I do like. Um, and so, yeah, I basically just write out my scripts. Like, even just for my movie reviews, I write out my script. Even though I have attempted to just write bullet points, I just find I do better when I have a whole script written out. And
Right.
then once that's done, I go ahead and shoot, and then which takes me, about an hour or so. And then I edit after that for at least 4 or 5 hours, if not more, depending on the video. Like my clown video and my Freddy video, those videos took me days to edit. So those took forever. But yeah, for my shorter stuff. Uh,
Do you like clown movies or are you immune to clowns?
oh, I love clown movies. I mean, I've been a clown for most of the time when I dress up for Halloween. I love them.
I mean, they don't bother you, do they?
Oh no, no,
No,
no.
no. It always makes me laugh when I see people say clown movies scare them. I'm going like, how can a clown movie scare you? He's a clown. Well, yeah, but what about art? Art the clown.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's like that's just that would give you the edge because people dressing up clowns. They know a lot of people are scared of them, so they use that for them. But when you meet someone such as us, we're like, yeah, that's all right. You're all right. Yeah, I like your costume. I like your makeup. We're sort of immune to it.
Yeah.
It doesn't really like frighten us.
No.
I never been scared of clowns. I always laugh. I think they're hilarious. Uh,
Yeah.
let's see some of the chats flying by here. I better get over here. Let's see. Stew Train. Oh, thoughts on Scream 7 or Scream 6? Is it gonna suck hard or be honest? Do you think it's gonna suck hard?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
No, I don't think it's gonna suck hard. I always go into every new release with optimism. I think it's gonna be good. The last one was good, and if it's not, then that's gonna be a shame. But I have faith that it'll be just as good as the last one.
I don't know. I think when I see someone taking their character to New York, it's just like a step space. It's like, okay, that's what happened to Jason.
I
That's
know, right? Yeah.
Jason takes Manhattan, and then Jason X. It's like, okay, here comes Ghostface. Ghostface, is in New York. Ghostface in space. I'm telling you, you hear it here first.
If anything,
Uh,
it'll be a half to a whole star less than 5, if anything, but I don't think it'll be a total flop.
Um, let's see. Do you think Sydney's coming back? I'm saying yes. I don't think Stu will, but I think Sydney will be. She'll be back.
Yeah, she'll either get sent off into the sunset in the first 10 minutes. I think that'll probably what happens. I don't think she'll get killed off. I think she still is not allowing that to happen in her contract, right? She's not allowed to be killed off. So I think they'll just let her go on her way, hopefully, and just not, care about her. They want the new blood, hopefully, and let her go.
I was actually going to say I think she'll come up at the end of the movie.
Oh, okay.
I think she'll come up at the last scene or mid credits for screen
Yeah,
time.
that makes
Uh,
sense too. Definitely not the whole movie, though.
no, no, no. See, Freddy fans stand up. Slasher is like the coolest horror genre. It's one of them. I don't know about the coolest, but it's definitely. Question. So since you like, let's see. So since you like a reason, did you like Rob Zombie's backstory for Michael Myers?
Oh, yeah. That I loved Rob Zombie's the first one actually. I don't think I liked the second Halloween he did. But yeah, I did enjoy that. It was super real and super tragic, and I like that trashy horror that he does. So yeah, I
I think what
enjoyed
I was
it.
excited about Rob Zombie's Halloween, I love the fact that he used Tyler Mane as Michael Myers.
Huge, dude.
I
Huge.
mean, Tyler Mane to me has always been someone who should have been a big star and he never got a proper chance.
Oh.
Yeah, I really think he should have been. Should have been. He didn't get a chance to really speak in X-Men, but he was really good. His character, he dominated his scenes in Troy. And I really thought he was just he was more than just a big guy. He had some skills. See, Rob says hasn't seen Human Centipede yet. Gotta
Oh.
dive in. Yeah, yeah, that's a good term to use. Dive. See, Star Lord Rob Zombie made good Halloween movies, but Captain Spaulding came along shadowing it. Um, yeah. Yeah. What are some of the you mentioned like torture porn, but what are some of the movies that push you beyond your comfort level?
Do you have any in mind that you think I would be turned off by?
I could think of one right off the bat. Probably a Serbian film.
I do need to see that one. I do need to see that one. There are a few that I know I need to see. That was one of them. But nothing has really turned me off. Like, have you seen The Sadness?
No, I have not. I heard
Okay.
it was really good, but I have not. I
Because
wasn't. I
that's
didn't.
pretty freaking bad, and I wasn't turned away or turned off by that. Like I want to see that again soon, but I'm trying to think of what made me just turn away or turn it off. And the only thing that I can think of is Cannibal Holocaust because I just cannot do the animal. Like that's my line is animal cruelty, even if it's simulated and the animal's not real. I just hate the image and the idea of it. Um, Anything having to do with the R word, the action of sexual assault.
Right.
Um,
Well, I was gonna say that's the first movie that when I watched horror, I thought I was watching horror, and you watch everything, but I found out that I had my limits, and my limits was with the original "I Spit on Your Grave."
Is
After that,
there a scene in there it's really bad with that?
it's it's horrendous.
Ugh,
I couldn't believe I'm watching this. I felt like I was watching I felt like I was watching a real life film. It felt real life,
yeah.
and it was 30 minutes, and it was just like. I came out of that movie and we watched horror movies. Our group of friends, we all like watching horror movies, and they go like, "Can we watch that?" And I'm like, "You can, but it won't be with me."
Mm.
Nope,
Another
nope.
good one, if you haven't seen it, is called The Ruins. And we have these kids on a pyramid in Mexico with these plants that are basically um, invading their bodies and then them trying to basically take care of it themselves with their knives and things. That's a really, really, really good and bloody one.
Yeah, I got that movie. I just got it, and
Oh,
I have never
nice.
watched it. Yeah, I've never watched it. I definitely want to. I'm going to dig into that. I'm going to
Yes.
bring that into a Sunday show and
Hopefully
talk about that. Yes.
you get
Um.
the bad, hopefully you get the sad ending, not the good
Right.
ending.
Uh. So you got the new show because you do a lot of collaborations, right? How many collaborations do you get invited to every month, based off your channel?
I mean, not that many. This collaboration was just kind of by chance because I did their last episode with their last theme called the Full Moon Fright Club because they were doing all kinds of full moon productions, movie reviews. And then I just got invited onto that last episode. And so then when they wanted to do something new, they said, hey, let's talk about our two favorite guilty pleasures. And I just kept on the train and kept it on going. Yeah, but as far as doing things with folks, I'd say it's fairly regular. I just did a presentation for the Rubber Ducky Awards for the Cinema Squad, and I'll soon be doing another presentation for horror addicts for their award show called the Oscars, which is a play on the Oscars, obviously, but for horror movies. And
Yeah,
yeah, I do.
I didn't watch enough. I didn't watch enough horror movies to qualify for that. Because Danny asked me, he says, "Have you seen a lot of horror movies for 2020?" And I'm like, "Oh, no, I watched a lot of movies, but my watching is really different. I don't really don't watch a lot of new stuff when it comes out. My watching is so cockeyed. I mean, it's so weird. It's so
Yeah, it's all
I don't
good.
I can't even explain how my method of watching movies is like.
You like what you like, and you're
I
eclectic, it's fine.
it's weird because I go to the library and I hunt and I get all these recently released movies, right? And then I
Nice.
come home, I put them on the shelf, and then next thing you know, then I'm sitting there watching some public domain movie from 1952. It's like, how come you're not watching the latest movie? I couldn't tell you. Um, yeah, I couldn't tell you. Guilty pleasures. That's a really good topic too, isn't it? I
Yeah.
mean, because always look at like it's a showcase. It's a showcase of like, I don't know, Full Moon used to be. I mean, 'cause I used to watch Full Moon all the time. I mean, they used to make some really fantastic movies, and then they quit doing it. Then they started doing Evil Bong and Ginger Dead Man, and it's just
Yeah.
like now there's no guilty because there's no guilty pleasures because I'm not watching that. I
Right.
just like
Yeah.
what happened, what happened to Dynamic Toys and Jack Death and that's what I was missing. I'm missing that. Asylum movies. I just heard that the Asylum is no longer releasing physical copies, physical media.
Oh, okay.
Um, and Jose, he's made a few Asylum movies,
Yeah. Yep. He's
and
got
his movies define guilty pleasures. Let me tell you,
Yeah.
they
Yeah,
really
his
define them.
choice of because his choices were the first episode of Guilty Pleasures, and they were pretty rough to get through, that's for sure.
Oh, what
Demon
did
Wind and Demon Warp.
did you he made you watch Demon Warp? I
Yes, he
think
made us all watch Demon freaking Warp.
I think that was the first movie that Fangoria released.
Oh.
Oh my god, I think that's terrible. Well, he hasn't made you make has he made you watch any of his movies yet?
Well, no, yeah, those were his first 2 picks or his only picks because we're all gonna take turns, and he was the first episode, so he made us watch Demon Wind and Demon Warp, and now next month, Lady Shasha is gonna make us watch 2 of her guilty pleasures.
What are you gonna pick for yours? Preview.
I'm not too sure just yet, and I think I might keep it hush hush just because he asked us to keep it
Oh, okay.
quiet until we're picked, but,
Sure, sure.
um I probably won't pick Tusk because I brought it up when I was asking him about it on air because otherwise I would have picked it. But Tusk, I don't even know if it's really a guilty pleasure. I'm still trying to figure out what the guilty pleasure would be, because for me, Tusk is a masterpiece. You know, and for him, he said Demon Warp is a 5, even though he knows it's not a perfect film. I'm like, so how are you giving it a 5? But I'm like, all right. For me, I just love the hell out of Tusk. Another good example of body gore and just dark comedy and just silliness. And
Have
some
you
people
ever
hate it, but it's great.
have you ever seen the movie called just the word S, called S, just like a snake?
Oh
Have you
no, I
ever?
haven't.
Yeah,
Uh-uh.
that's where Tusk came from. 1973. Dirk Benedict and Heather Menzies and Strother Martin, and he basically changes this guy from a human into a king cobra.
Okay.
Yeah, see, Professor Brown, Professor Macro mentioned that. Yep, that's right. Reb Brown is also in that movie, future Captain America. Yeah, that would be Tusk. Yeah. Are you a big Kevin Smith fan? I mean, do you like I mean, do you watch more indie films than you watch mainstream films, you think?
I probably do. Yeah. Like I choose those more than I would choose the mainstream stuff. Yeah.
So if you had a chance to see a movie like say Men versus Scream 6, I mean, if you had one of the two to watch, you would probably end up watching Men before you watch.
Yes. 100%. Yeah.
Oh, you're awesome. You're so awesome.
Well, thank you. You are too. You are too.
That's the sign right there. I just, yeah. What do you think of horror fandom of now? I mean, do you think horror fandom is? Do you think it is really fans with deep roots into horror, or do you think that the normal fandom is to and fro? That they're bandwagon fans. You know, whatever's hot at the moment, they all jump on the wagon. Or do you think fandom is like that? You know, like whatever comes down the road, they're on. Or you think fandom is deeply rooted?
Oh, I think it's a wide spectrum. You know, it's all of it. You've got the folks who have been diehard horror fans since they were in the womb and they got dressed in Freddy Krueger clothes and all that from the time that they were a baby and loved it, you know, when they grew up and know every movie inside and out. And then you have those folks who are coming into their own and figuring out what they like and just dabbling in things and just trying to find their voice in horror. um you know, there's always trends and things ebb and flow, and you've got folks interested in something at one point and then they're not interested in it later. And that's fine too. Come on along for the ride for the moment if you want to, and then whenever you want to get off, go ahead and get off, and that's fine too. But yeah, I find that people are just on a spectrum regardless, even if they have loved horror their whole lives as well, compared to the other person who's a diehard fan. You know, it's all relative, and it's all just, you know, people's interests are different because their time is filled with other interests and not just horror, you know. So it's all
I
a
just see
mix.
sometimes just see some of the I don't know if they call them super fans or what have you, but some of the one trend I see is I just see like a movie will come out and it gets squeezed to death. The fans are like they're like anacondas around it, you know. Okay, we're announcing It Follows 2. And then for the next 6 months, the fans is, whatever information comes out for that movie, the fans are just they're looking at it through a microscope. I just don't. Do you feel that kind of looking at a movie like that? Do you think it really hurts the genre because people are, like, let's say you're making your first movie, uh, your first movie, you're coming out, you're making I don't know, Men 2. So you're making Men 2. Now, would it make you feel uncomfortable knowing that there's a wide spectrum of fans that they're not waiting to see how you're going to show your story. They want to know how it is before you even get it out. They're squeezing it to death before
Mm.
you release it. Do you feel that is a destructive behavior for fandom, or is it just them being super fans and just being obsessed with it? I mean,
That's a
am I
good
correct?
point. to bring up because we're in this age where we need this instant gratification, especially because of social media, and that is a bit hindering to, I'm sure, the creative process for these directors, writers, and producers, because they are trying to sometimes turn around so quickly after the last film has wrapped to make the sequel instead of just letting it simmer and marinate before making the next film or even just their next project aside from, a separate project. Um, but it's also kind of cool that you have such an audience who is that interested and that might even energize the writer and director to be more excited and be more creative. So I guess there's both ends of that, but yeah, it can be a little negative too, in that, these people who are trying to suck everything out of the next film build up their anticipation and then are let down because they had such high expectations when they could have just gone in it real chill and been satisfied, but because they had all these thoughts and ideas and conspiracies and leaks of information here and there, they have this story that just didn't, come to fruition. So but
It's sort
yeah,
of sad. It's sort of
yeah,
sad to see kind of fandom, because it's like there's you say you love a project, you love the movie, but yet by the time you get to it, it's already dead. You're not going to be surprised because it's
right.
like you've already and then you're right. I mean, you got has so much expectations that if it doesn't happen, then you're going to be coming out there crying and complaining about it. The days I think the days of people just walking in, buying a ticket, and saying, thrill me, are gone.
Right. That's why I avoid trailers. I avoid everything that I can. If I like the title, cool, and the cover art, cool. If I know the director or an actor or two, that's enough to sell me to go watch the movie. Garland, who did Min, had also done Ek Machina and another movie that I really liked, and I was like, sold. I don't need to know anything. I don't need to hear anything from anybody. So yeah, I try to go into things as blind as possible. Like with Scream and everything, I'm trying to avoid all videos and trailers if I can. I
Right.
just don't need to see it.
Yeah. No, I avoid a lot of the trailers too. I just don't. The ones I watch. Okay, we already know what trailers I watch. Because I have to see it. Like right now, I'm so jonesing so hard to see Consecration.
Oh yeah, that looks like it's gonna be good.
I want to see that so bad. And I love Jenna Malone, so it's like
Yeah, she's great.
she's fantastic. She's
Hmm.
fantastic. It's like I have a grail guest of people I want to talk to, and Jenna Malone's on the list. It's like, yeah,
Nice.
if I could talk to Jenna, I would.
One of
Um,
her roles that I remember her in, one of her first roles is in Stepmom with Julia Roberts and Susan Sarandon.
right, right. She's been spicy all her whole career, though.
Yes, and she's also
That's a
in
little,
The Ruins, as I'm sure you know.
she's in the ruins. Yep, and
Yeah,
she's also yep. She is.
yeah.
And I just can't. And she's actually in a movie called Stardust.
Oh, yeah, okay. I
Yeah.
gotta check that out.
That's about David Bowie.
Oh, okay.
What's going on with your channel? I'm gonna go ahead and think about letting you go. But tell us a little bit of what you got coming up on your channel. What's going on with Rainbow Fright?
Sure. So, I just put out a bunch of shorts, which were just shorts of my longer video of my ranking video that I just did. I also just put out a review of Bad Lieutenant, which was a patron request. And my next review will probably be another patron request, which is what is it? Death Proof. Uh,
Um,
Death Proof.
that's Quentin
And
Tarantino's movie.
yes, yes. Hmm.
That's a
And
good one.
yeah, and I'm also trying to put together just like a video, still figuring out the details, but a video on women in film, focusing on horror and women of color, and just putting out kind of like a little just a fun video. I'm still trying to figure out the details. So, but that's what I got going on there. But if you go to my YouTube channel, you'll see all the links to my socials, and you'll be able to follow me on all of those because I also put out just fun lifestyle things and other short videos. And I've also got more shorts coming on YouTube. And yeah, that about wraps it up.
What is the next? What's the next guilty pleasure show?
It is going to be March. Oh, let me double check. It'll be March 19th.
March 19th. March
Yes.
19th, the next guilty pleasure show. Are you rotating the host, or is it always going to be on Jose's channel?
Rotating host. So next month it'll be on Lady Shasha's channel.
Yeah, that's how we do the ISC show. We rotate it. Rotate it. We do it once a month, and then we rotate it. Have you
Nice.
seen Have you seen our review of Have you seen our IFC shows?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, they're
That's right.
fun.
They
Yeah.
are. Yeah, we're doing the harvest for this month, and then next month I broke down and I'm going to do it. We're going to do swallow.
Oh, nice. I need to watch that one still. I know I'm gonna love it. I know I'm gonna love it.
I love Haley Bennett. Haley Bennett is like, you know, she's like, she's to cast me out for me. She's so cool. She's so cool.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming out and hanging out with us today. Again, all of DeRae's information will be down in the description box. Highly recommend her channel. She's got the best reviews. I personally want to see you and Kevin from Haunted by Horror. I want to see you two do a collaboration.
Okay.
That's my goal. You two guys together on one movie would be absolutely stone cold awesome.
Okay.
Oh yeah. He does that really insightful deep dive like you do, like, and he has that
Yeah,
real calming voice. It's really
he
cool.
does. Yeah.
And I watch you two and I'm like, those two need to make that happen.
That
I
would
want
be
to thank
fun.
I'd like to thank the chat for coming out here and hanging out with us. Tomorrow we will be dark, unfortunately. Unfortunately, our show tomorrow was canceled at the last minute. But Friday we will return on Friday at 8 p.m. With actress Dylan Fawn Harvey will make a return visit to us, and we can't wait to catch up with her because she's done a lot of exciting things since last time we talked to her. And so she will be with us on Friday. Next week we have 5 shows next week. So all women in horror, all making their imprint, and all can't wait to talk to them. Thank you so much. Stay right where you're at, DeRae. To the chat, thank you so much for coming out and supporting it tonight. We will see you on Friday. Talk to you soon.
Bye. Peace.